viable on Lijiang Tower, you know, and opening up on guns, thank God we opened up on guns. There's a lot of versatility you can have here in the range of dive compositions that we see teams like to play. You know, things from Monkey to Diva to Bull, but also, you know, we see Sim TP Rush coming out sometimes as well, so that can be viable too. O3 Splash looking to the Junker Queen is something we saw them definitely make use of in the previous series.
Yeah, early on in that series, we did see them prefer to go to that Junker Queen, so that might be their comp of choice here. And we were TPing out, I imagine TPing out of spawn, not onto point, but Citrus, they're more likely to TP onto point and hold it down, and it's going to be a little bit difficult for Splash to get in there up against this Ramattra and May, because that's going to split up the positioning a lot.
Yep, with that Shout Force early, they don't have as much sustain, but there's the Lamp Force too. So sustain, utilization, and abilities are down from both teams, but there you go. There's that Ramattra pummeling through, taking out the Junker Queen nice and early. We do see the sustain go down as Z-Man falls early. So if O3 Splash can formulate themselves and try keep this fight going, or sustain themselves, keep themselves alive, now that Calvin's back on this ball, they have a chance at re-entering this fight with speed.
Yeah, they have a lot more mobility as well to go in nice and quick, but of course the slow from the May is incredible.
The snare! And the snare as well slowed down that ball to an incredible degree, not allowing Calvin really to get out of that situation. And it looks like a reset has to be here for O3 Splash as they look to remove onto the Ramattra. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, kind of a decision making there between Splash. But yeah, Citrus, once they were in a state of holding down, they just have a much better upfront brawl. And that's because that May can just split up the tank or someone else with a wall and just create a zone of attack. However, an EMP going to be coming out.
Early EMP coming through. It was charged up quickly, but so was that beat from Mikan. They've already found one, so a trade has come through. With ultimate down, it does alleviate some pressure for Calman, but that beam, that Ramattra pummel, it is just so much front-facing damage, and O3 Splash really need to take a look at their composition and try to find a way to salvage this.
Yeah, heavy sustain offered by that Baptiste Z-Man kept their team alive there through that EMP. And of course, EMP doesn't hack you for too long, so you're going to have that shift, you're going to have that immortality field. They are going to be able to utilize this window in a nice, comfortable position early on.
Yeah, they can soon rush through it, but Cowman is captured by that wall split from their team. And it's really the tank on the side of O3 Splash that we're seeing the brunt of the pressure being put onto by Citrus.
Yeah, that window nullified that Kitsune rush, really meant the neutral didn't get the win condition they were looking for. We're at final 30% now, so Splash needs to find something that can make a splash. They do have that Rampage and no way for Citrus to cleanse it. So if they get a good amount of players, that can open up this next and possible final fight for them here. And they do have a beat to sustain it as well.
They do, but there's an Annihilation. Storm is a brewing, but they've not been able to get too much value with that Rampage, unfortunately. But Echo is there on the Echo, finding 2 picks. Lukewarm is there. These DPS did so damn well in the previous series, Joe, and hopefully they can help this team really get the reverse in this round that they need.
Yeah, it took a while to get a follow-up there from the Rampage, like you mentioned, but in the end, that's all that they really needed to be using there, and they kept a hold of that beat, which is going to be really important in sustaining them forward, especially up against 2 very heavy controlling ultimates, like the Annihilation and the May ult of Ultimate Whip. Those are just going to come out onto the point and basically force Splash off of it.
This ult bank from Citrus is something terrifying to look down. Both beats have now been forced out, but Zeb has that Annihilation. He's holding on to it. Once this beat wears off, the Lucio is down, no speed to maneuver around quickly. They found the point flip as well, which is really detrimental here for O3 Splash, as now finally Neutral gets back into the fight. They have no ultimates of their own, Geo. All they have is that adaptive circuits, and they've been engaged, but to no avail, as the picks come through, and the Ramattra comp will throw out as the better brawl here in our first round on Lijiang Gardens.
Yeah, Ramattra can just play at a faster pace there than the likes of the Junker Queen, who sometimes needs to wait for that self-sustain to kind of come alive once you've meleeed a few or cleaved a few people. you could see the difference in playing the Baptiste as well. Yeah, you don't have that cleanse, but the Immortality Field can kind of cover part of that, where the core output of healing from that base is just intense. I mean, the main difference there was the Mei. That ultimately, in a brawl versus brawl scenario, the Mei has so much advantage because it's basically like having an off-tank of old. Because you have someone else, other than the Ramattra, who can just create that much space. Oh, Free Splash, they've recognized this. They're not going to be TPing onto point. They're going to set up Lukewarm on the Hanzo. In fact, Citrus aren't even going to be teaming to point, but they will rotate onto it. Have to watch for these sightlines from Lukewarm. However, that Hanzo offers that one-shot capability and spam.
Yeah, I think eyes are really on Lukewarm and Danny. You don't want that Symmetra to stay alive and charge up that beam. You don't want Lukewarm to get in a position where they can find great spam angles. Big wall coming out, though, straight away. We've already seen Ultima Web do so damn well on it and force out the Immortality Field extremely early. The spam damage is coming through from the distance. You can see those health walls from Citrus falling bit by bit, but with the Sim and that Mei, it's so much close range damage that you can see how hesitant Cal managed to move on point. They're finally making that step. They're moving on to the point. That damage from the Sim, you gotta deal with it, Gio.
Yeah, Danny ain't vegan because they're having steak.
Oh, yeah. Nice. Schmeat. Oh, that's a bad stagger as well.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this fight is over. And, yeah, a little bit of a stagger there to get your extra percentages. And Citrus so far are really holding it down. We said that this sort of map allows you to get an idea of what the series is going to look like. And so far, definitely both teams preferring the brawl. Just Citrus, they seem a little bit more prepped for it, and they've got plenty of ult prep for this next fight. Both sides do. It's going to be down to these supports and keeping their teams alive in what's going to be a heavy ult fight.
And that's that one shot of potential that we were talking about. Mail has been used there. Blizzard cast down onto point has claimed Alman and Vic, which are really the key people to take down in that fight. They use the Annihilation to clean up, so they don't really have the Annihilation coming this next fight, but O3 Splash have an old bank of their own.
Incredible sustain there as well. And the fact that you didn't pull the trigger on your beat as well. Citrus have a very good position here. They will be up against both that Blizzard and Annihilation, but if you're able to speed away from one of them, you can beat for the other. A lot of pressure here on Mikan on the support line right now.
The wall is just forcing so much space. Beat comes early from Fix. They want to be nice and aggressive. The Mei is gone. They need to make sure this beat doesn't get too much value. It's not going to come through that they're holding their hand over the trigger with it, Gio, which means they have a lot to work with in this upcoming fight.
Yeah, I think they were sniffing out to see if that Blizzard was going to come out, and once they didn't feel the breeze, they knew that they were going to hold on to it. And look at this, this control, right? They're in the 90s. They could hold on to that. They can take this next fight neutral and build even more fights if they wanted to. Keeping that beat really allows this next fight to possibly go their favor, despite the fact that Echo has this Blizzard.
Yeah, they're in the 90s, but they don't need to be running. They've got that time to really step back. Danny's now on the Hanzo instead of that Symmetra. Has found a trade, so both Hanzos are out of the fight. With the Lukewarm having had that Dragon as well. Can maybe cast it onto point if they want, but with that Ramattra being set up on point with the Hanzo, it's just a lot of damage, and Citrus have to reset.
Yeah, that's exactly why you have the Hanzo. You're basically looking for your Hanzo to potentially win a fight just off of getting spam like that, getting an odd pick. And now, Splash, they have a lot in their arsenal here that they can rotate with. They can open up with this window, nice, control it, look for those one-shots, control the avenues, especially if this Dragon, which can split up the side of Citrus on their engage.
I mean, Mikan still has this damn beat, Gio. They've been waiting for that ability to come out, and now the beat is finally cast. Echo traded the life for that was right soon after. Aggression coming out from Citrus, so they use the Annihilation. Everything in their arsenal used to get that flip, and it is undoubtedly a map win from here.
Yeah, unlikely to be any touches here, at least nothing meaningful. Citrus going to be looking to take this first map. And that's a great start to this series, considering we talked about the history of these teams in that open division spring playoffs, where Citrus, I mean, they lost to Splash, but now they're definitely changing the system. The script has been flipped at the moment, at least, and I mean, Citrus are looking good. I mean, Fix a while now as well compared to the likes of Splash. But sending us to Hollywood. Splash likes to put us amongst the stars, and oh so beautiful the stars are in Hollywood at Goldshire Pictures. This is
Wonderful.
a little bit of a different setup, right? Because there's so much high ground to control. You're now thinking of bringing out your kind of dive compositions, and this is really going to test both teams to see what their dive now looks at. We're going to get the full rock, paper, scissors of Overwatch, it seems, in this series. Also, O3 Splash on the attack, looking to still bring out that hands up, but right now Citrus in the defense. They do have the Winston defense, and it's curious because usually you see the D.Va because of the peel potential. You can use those D.Va matrices and the raw armor of the mech to really protect your core. With Winston, you tend to want to go for faster fights and kind of more trade-heavy fights. So Zeb is going to have to be careful that they don't trade at the wrong time or go in too deep. Of course, they'll be playing around Ultimate Web. On the other side, Cowman, also on Winston, going to look to do the same. Needs to be a little less careful on the attack because anything that they trade out is a bigger advantage on their side of things here. Of course, if Aku could get an opening pick, that would just change the entire complexion of the fight.
Yeah, and they've got a strong dive here coming out. We've seen how good Lukewarm can be on that Tracer, so definitely not a duo on diving that you should be laughing at already, applying plenty of pressure. They look for that point control more so than that high ground. I say that as Cowman then starts to pressure out that Ash. He's going to jump out nice and quickly, really controlling this space extremely well, forcing the Tracer off a point as well with that cleave damage. Both monkeys jumping into the respective cores. But the sustain is great from Citrus. They're using those nades very defensively. Z-Man and Meekan looking strong here. But the first pick comes out onto Zeb in the backline. So you're down your tank now, Gio. The rest of the team really has to try and group up together and make a remnants.
Yeah, great position by Cowman. The counter dive came in by bubbling off the Ana. Zeb did not have the healing. And now O3 Splash are going to get this first point, and not too shabby of a time back either. 5 minutes rolling into second point is a very decent situation to be in, especially since Citrus on the defense. They're not going to be able to fully set up as of yet because Ultimate Web ain't back. They could dive this high ground nice and quick, but Ultimate Web is already going to be there. And now they are going to have an equal fight. All about playing for these high grounds. You can't let the Ash just set up here.
Eyes are on the nanos as well here. We're looking for them to be cast, but with this, we see Cowman getting slapped up there. He's now instantly as the sleep goes out, so now there's nothing to really counteract the monkey. They pop the rally, looking to possibly stun up that monkey, but the follow-up from the dive has already been cast down as Lukewarm found a pick. Danny trades that out, but with Zeb gone yet again, it just seems like this tank on the side of Citrus just hasn't been able to really find their footing in their engages.
I mean, like I said, right, Monkey on defense is just a riskier play than going for the likes of a D.Va or even a Wrecking Ball. And I do respect it in that regard, but oh my god, they're rallying in.
They're going nice and aggressive, using that overhealth really to cast their momentum in this fight. Primal coming through, Zeb looking to try boot them off a point, make some space as we've seen Cowman do so excellently. Up onto that high ground now, and it's going to be Z-Man falling first, and that's what you get with that Hanzo, Geo. The pick potential is unrivaled. With the honors traded out, it's all about which team can just maneuver around to sustain themselves a little bit better, and it seems like Lukewarm, the mechanics not failing to be sufficient enough to help O3 Splash get another clean team feat win.
Yeah, I mean, it's not clean, right? And that is going to allow the defenders respawn to kind of kick in and help them. They need to regain control of this high ground as he fixes there, looking to boop anyone that tries to get there.
There's the stick! Ooh, gets Danny. That's bad. That's a lot of burst damage gone, which really frees up Cowman quite a lot. The backline on the side of Citrus, they are maneuvering around as best they can, going up onto that high ground. As Lukewarm pressuring out the enemy Tracer. This is a Tracer duel which has been pretty damn one-sided so far. Acorn and Lukewarm not really giving Ultimate Web a good time. Neutral has fallen, so not as good sustain. And Fix was nano, but slept up. So Z-Man really doing God's work in this fight. And the nano cast onto Zeb. This Ana is trying to carry this fight try make sure they don't get that second point cap. Pretty even here, though, Gio. I think it's a 2v3 situation, but you don't have a lot of heals from either side.
The fight's disjointed, discombobulated, but ain't disappointing. It's going on forever, but eventually Free Splash are going to secure it and take us to the third point. A few minutes have been taken off the time bank in terms of Citrus kind of holding in, but I think at a certain point, I think Zeb would just be better suited on a tank where they're a little bit more survivable. They are getting some fights where they are trading nicely, taking out neutral. That's the aim of the game here for Zeb, to trade out your Ana, but it's not happening that often because, I mean, you've got Fix there just, I mean, fixing the issue for the side of O Free Splash. And Lukewarm just hitting every pulse bomb.
Again on Danny. Leave the man alone. Yeah, I mean, Lukewarm more looking spicy and fiery and hot, really, because just doing so well in this Tracer so far. Fix catching out Zeb as well, and they're disengaged, and like you said, you really want to maybe question the monkey pick, because it just doesn't seem to be as survivable as you'd like.
Well, they are going to have the Primal here, so that survivability ain't going to be an issue in this upcoming fight. If they do want to use it, Rally is also prepared to keep that back line alive. Going to be using the front line, however.
Yeah, neutral getting caught out, playing pretty far forward, a bit of frontline Ana. Love to see it, but not under the face of a rallying Brigitte. And that'll be a fight win for Citrus, finally stopping this avalanche that O3 Splash, or should I say tsunami, that they've created here on Hollywood Attack.
Yeah, Mikan, certainly not a cleric, but a paladin there in the front line going aggro and getting the value from. Still able to heal the back line as well, which you love to see. Zeb holding on to this Primal. This is good. You now have another situation where you can go nice and deep, take that damage, but still have that second chance. Danny, looking for one shots, not going to quite get any as of yet. They do have the Dragon to split things up.
Cost down main. Hasn't found any victims, but Fix is caught out in that crossfire. Echo trades out, and the DPS on the side of O3 Splash, they never fail to disappoint. The supports have been found, though. Zeb has finally managed to really show us they are just as competent on that Winston.
1 minute 40 in a time bank. It's been nicely drained here. O Free Splash, however, they're going to be coming up to that Nano, and that Nano is going to be the core win condition. By the time Cowman will be able to have Primal as well, Fix with that rally. Now, if Seaman can get a good Nano on their end as well, they can maybe nullify the effects of it, but they're going to pull the trigger first.
It's been kited really well, though. Trying to look for neutral, but doesn't want to get caught in that crossfire of Echo and Lukewarm at that main choke. And there's the engaged Lukewarm and Cowman. They're just so good. Nano applied onto the Tracer. We love to see it. Spraying those two pistols as fast as they damn can. I love the sound of that Tracer nanoed pistols. It sounds so damn good, but not as good as this ult bank, which O3 Splash have just been able to build up. They use it. 2 with the damn Dragon Strike as well, Gio. And 1 minute in the time bank. I mean, it's damn respectable here.
I know it doesn't seem like it, right? But those 2 seconds are actually important. 1 minute, 2 seconds. On hybrid, of course, when you're talking about, completing the map, if Citrus complete it now with overtime, they don't get a second chance. So getting it over that 1 minute, despite how much it was drained in that third point, that is still pretty good. Those 2 seconds could come in clutch for Splash if Citrus do end it in overtime, like I said. But yeah, there's a lot of things that we're seeing here, right? And it's mainly Echo is getting a lot more done on the Hanzo. Whether that's just because there's more flank opportunities for the attacking Hanzo compared to Danny, who was on that defending side and had less angles to work with. Well, obviously, we're going to see that now with Citrus on the attack. They're still going to be playing that Hanzo. It was a decently quick first point for Splash, and a lot of it was down to the monkey bubble placement, forcing Z-Man away from Zeb and stopping the healing connection. Now you're looking for the same kind of deal here from Citrus as we're going to continue with this mirror composition. Obviously, Fix has done a very good job at keeping neutral alive, however, so Zeb still has a very tough job ahead of them. But I mean, it's worth mentioning again, that's why you have the Hanzo. It's like it's like you have that game plan right, but then you also have someone who could just get one shot.
Oh, no, there you go. Yeah, there you go. Echo. They've shown us it before. They show us it again. That's the Ana gone. You gotta reset now. If you're Citrus, you gotta look to kite back. That's exactly what they're gonna do. And I mean, we always say the writing was in the wall, and you wrote it, Gio.
I mean, if Fix is a paladin, then Echo's a ranger, because there ain't missing many of these arrows that they're shooting out, and forcing to use the bubble early on that rotate.
Which is really bad, actually, for the engage. It means that it'll be really easy for Kaman to split off Zeb, who's already taken so much damage. Spam from Echo. He seems so comfortable on that Hanzo. Dive coming through onto him, though. They want to nullify that damn Hanzo, get him out of the fight. But to come back, I do that counter diving. But you're focusing on that monkey on the front, and you're forgetting about Lukewarm on the side. Already has the pulse bomb cost down. Doesn't manage to find the brig there. For a little bit too far. Bit of a kite into that Mega Room. Lukewarm is just defending their backline alongside Cowman. And really kind of forced them into a very interesting kill box there in the Mega Room.
Fix was on 0.111 HP at one point and antied, but they used that corner just in the right time to avoid the Tesla cannon, stay alive, and crucially that means this rally will be available in this upcoming fight. For both sides, however, but of course, if you're looking to dive and get neutral out for Citrus, it's going to be a real pain in your butt once that armor comes out and those mini stuns are available.
Yeah, and crucially, neutral does actually have that nano, so you want to try get him and catch him off guard as soon as you possibly can. And Zeb falls so early. Echo with that spam damage. Lukewarm was traded out, but I think you kind of take that. They're tank for the DPS. Now, Citrus don't really have a lot of pushing power in order to really pressure out the backline. They use the nano as well. Ult Bank's really draining from both sides. Nano Brig coming through. Once you're down your monkey, the Brig is the next tank in line if TikTok has told us anything. And they're finally finding some value as Ultima Wep gets the pick onto Echo. But Z-Man's traded out for it. Little sustain for Citrus as both supports fall.
That perhaps may have been a mistake. I mean, yeah, sure, Zeb is getting a pick there at the end of things, looking to maybe turn it around. I mean, Ultima Web investing the pulse bomb. They actually think this one's winnable, Crumble.
The stick from Lukewarm, I mean, Lukewarm fell pretty early in that previous fight, so you gotta be warned from them coming back, and only a minute left on the bank trio.
You have to imagine that nano into the break was a mistake, right? Because if that went onto Zeb, it would have been beautiful for engaging the back line there. But Citrus holding in. There's 1 minute remaining here, and Splash they're holding in strong. Ultimate's not on the board right now, but this Hanzo of Echo has been a constant thorn in the side of Citrus here, and you see many times Zeb actually diving them rather than the Ana because they're so terrified of that one-shot capability.
Oh, but now Zeb finally finding some momentum, finds neutral in a very forward spot, and a very bad positioning mistake there from O3 Splash allows Citrus to finally get that first point.
Yeah, my bad. I didn't realize that Zeb achieved that final Infinity Stone and actually went for the snap there and deleting half the side of O3 Splash in an instant. However, forward spawns has allowed the defenders to hold this high ground, and that's going to be tough to dislodge, especially, as we said. I mean, sure, yes, Hanzo has the one-shot, but you also have that burst damage of the Storm Arrow, and that's something that Winston can't survive against. Danny on the Widow, however.
Yeah, now we see the other kind of one-shot. You got that hit scan one-shot. You got to really use those sight lines. Be careful, neutral. Don't be jumping up around on the high ground. See, both rallies available. Yeah, watch your head, otherwise it will be shot clean off. And it'll be Lukewarm getting a nice clean kill onto Ultima Web. Really been one-sided in that Tracer duel. Nano available for neutral. They really need to try and be aggressive. Not allow Citrus to really get their footing on this attack.
Yeah, and so far so good. That bubble did allow Echo there to play a little aggressive against the Widow and try and force them out. And of course, you're going to be sending Lukewarm into the back like this. Rally engage from Fix as well as the Nano onto Cowman.
Both the support ults cast onto the field. Flame didn't find anything. You can't sleep up the monkey. He's diving through you, finds half the team. Now he's the one with the Infinity Stones, Joe. He's the one snapping his fingers.
Yeah, he was moving through them with grace there. And Citrus continue to struggle. Their attack now, they do have a couple win conditions in their back pocket, including this Nano coming up from Z-Man, likely to go into Zeb, but Lukewarm continues to just annoy Danny so that they can't get the value on the Widow.
Yeah, now it's a sights as well, so Lukewarm really got to be careful. Yeah, getting tagged out, doesn't have the recall. It's going to be Eiko. Your one shot is preoccupied with the trace in the backline, so the Hanzo's able to finally do something. And I love this. You know, we see Eiko opening up fights with a pick. Then Cowman and Lukewarm just walk over the rest of the core. Fix going on a pretty aggressive push there, but force the Primal out.
Yeah, they're a counter-striking team. They're all about waiting for the strike to come out from their opponent first, and then strike back where the weakness opens up. They're playing this Winston comp just a little bit swifter than their opponents, and right now that's likely why they chose to take us to Hollywood, because they were comfortable with it.
And Eiko is comfortable with that bow and arrow slaying down the side of Citrus, juicing them for all their juice, making a smoothie out their corpses. Drink out their blood. Absolutely terrifying, I know. Well, I mean, his Hanzo is just absolutely nasty. What can I say? Genji coming out for that touch, but Danny already eliminated before they can even get close. And O3 Splash proving me right, Gio, that it's not all about control, evening our series out 1-1.
Yeah, I mean, they took us to Hollywood, and I mean, Hollywood is just a completely different take on Overwatch, right, from what we saw in Lijiang. This was all about your angles of spam with your Hanzos and collapsing on the backline with your Tracer and Winston. Ultimately, Splashed, they just took us to where they're and we're going to be heading to Dorado.
Oh, look at that shot. Beautiful. How pretty.
Yes.
That guitar music. Are we on a date or something? This is so romantic.
Yeah, it's Gimbal date night, and we're
it's
in
Gimbal
Dorado.
date. It's Gimbal date night. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, that usually happens on a Tuesday, but now it's the weekend, and we are vibing. Now, Citrus on your right, Splash on your left. Last time these teams matched up in a dive scenario, you were playing the Hanzo rather than the Echo for Splash. Echo, of course, allows you that aerial, not only your scouting, but of course those stickies followed with that beam is an elimination for sure. And of course, one condition of, you know, just stealing the enemy's monkey. Citrus, they are coming out with Danny on the Sojourn, which is going to have a little bit more consistent damage. But they are deciding to take the Jewel of the Echo in the sky, but already Ultimate Web is there as the anti-air.
Yeah, Carman trying to keep that high ground in their favor, literally just standing still there on that corner and testing the payload back onto that high ground. It's all about trying to stop that payload. That's the aim of the game here, trying to dwindle down that time bank as best as they can. It'll be Ultimate Web finally finding the differential on to Lukewarm, who's just shown us such a good showing on the Tracer, and it's Ultimate Web's time to shine. And Danny coming through on that Echo from main as Ultimate Web applies that pressure from the side. It's a great pincer dive coming through from Citrus as they look to steamroll here so far on Auto.
Ultimate Web is a veteran player, so you do expect them to come up in moments like this for Citrus, in moments where, of course, they do need to move the payload. And that was an outstanding point, Crumble, of stopping the payload and payload. No, I'm kidding. But that Diva is coming out, like you mentioned, and that, actually from Splash, not from Citrus, and that is going to allow a lot more peel for the backline of Splash.
And a lot more pressure onto Eiko in the skies as well. They're falling low already. That close shotgun damage from Diva, a little scary, but Nano is scarier, casting onto Zeb. That shotgun damage ain't gonna cut through the nanoed skin of that monkey. Already see being demeched as well. Saw the Nano come through though onto Lukewarm, who we've seen being applied to. You can tell they're trusted for that Nano. They know that Lukewarm can get that value. Zeb has been forced to use the Primal, as the stall has been great for O3 Splash, but if they do have players falling down here from that massive anti-aid opening things up, could be detrimental into them not being able to re-enter this fight.
How in the sweet Christmas did that baby diva stay alive and get a mech again in the middle of that fight? I will never truly know, but I guess the dodges are there. And even coming up in chat being a little playful, as we have seen earlier. But yeah, Citrus, they were stopped there. They're going to have this rally, not really up to task with their nano as of yet. So it could be a more aggressive rally coming out from Mikan like we've seen previously. Danny going to have this duplicate real soon. Echo sneaking in the back line, looking for an assassination here perhaps.
Yeah, looking for the Ana who gets tagged down, but there's plenty of sustain there. Matt Brig. Adaptive circuits have been engaged onto the Diva, and finally they find the Ana. So the Nano isn't available here, Gio, and the attacking power of Citrus hath been dwindled down. They have to use this rally for the sustain, but pigs are coming through from O3 Splash, and so is the D-Mech.
Yeah, that assassination, once it came out onto the Ana, things weren't just going to be the same. I mean, Mikan did pull the trigger on the rally, trying to keep things alive, but unfortunately it was at the same time the ultimate web went down and it became a little bit more dire for them. They will have their Wink edition of that Nano ready, but I mean, there's a counter condition, and that's lukewarm.
Oh my god, setting the backline ablaze with that pulse bomb. Unreal plays never seems to disappoint on the Tracer, Gio. Never, ever.
Insane in the membrane, and now it's a bit more panicky for Citrus. That time bank is dwindling down and you don't have as much time to set up. Going for the Diva in this panic mode is a little bit better. I think that Nano will be more consistent, but watch out for the duplicate and Echo in the backline of Citrus.
Oh, when they eat, you've got to be kidding me. Saw Cameron do so well on the Monkey, but is so comfortable on that Diva as well. And it's two Divas from O3 Splash. You gotta watch out. Two Defense Matrix, two boosters, booming the enemies off the point. Two Diva Bombs coming through. Echo's cast doesn't find anything, but Z-Man down. Barely was able to cast the Nano onto Ultima Web. Are we gonna see them be able to get the value as Lukewarm has found on that Nano Tracer? No, in... Not D? No, I was gonna say Indeedy. But yeah. We do see O3 Spot. I think they just had a huge ult bank there in that last fight. And it really, really showed as they hold first point here nice and comfortably.
Wow. Yeah, that is a very, very strong defense for O3 Splash, right? All keeping on to that first point has basically allowed them, you know, a less pressured attack, right? And as we swing over to the point that we'll never see now, this is where Citrus is going to be coming in. Obviously, you're talking now for Citrus, you need to full hold. That, like, it's not an option. That is what needs to happen. And this was their map pick. This was what they felt most comfortable taking O3 Splash 2. And it hasn't so far worked out for them. And, you know, part of you thinks about that Li Jiang and how Citrus's brawl was better, and you know, you start to wonder perhaps why are we in Dorado?
Yeah.
And so far, other than now playing the Diva on defense and the Soldier and Danny, there isn't that much difference. So maybe the difference was in more of the mindset, but whatever happened during O3 Splash's break has really amped them up, because they took their aggression to a whole new level. If they were at a 9 before, we're about to break the amp at 10. Because they're really playing viciously, strongly. They really want to get past Citrus and cement themselves on the path to glory here. They don't have a very far to push it to do so. And Echo again on that Hanzo. One single elimination from the Hanzo or the Tracer will just destabilize Citrus, possibly enough for a very nice swiping of Dorado.
Yeah. I mean, O3 Splash are really the broom, the cleaning equipment here to sweep Citrus under the rug. As Zeb looks to contest high ground, is doing a great job of using those boosters to do so. Ultima Web! Oh, come on, that's what we're talking about. You cannot leave Echo unchecked. Zeb was not there to eat the arrows, and the rest of the team really feels the brunt of that mistake. As off the back of that elimination, Gio, it doesn't look good here for Citrus.
Yeah, Oliver Queen here sitting there getting those arrows to such a deadly accuracy, and like I said, they're destabilized now in the defense. It's now panic mode because you need to be touching, and you don't quite have anything in your ult bank coming up to do so. It's going to be very tough, especially pushing into now the Hanzo, who has
O3 splash ult here. Maybe Citrus can show us it too, but Zeb falling very low, very early. Dragon cast there. The pressure is insurmountable, as they're forced to go onto the point edge here because they couldn't go towards that left high ground area. Vix opens things up, takes out the Tracer. That's a lot of your stall gone. But Danny traced thing out. Lukewarm was looking for the pulse from there and wasn't able to cast it. The Nano has been cast onto Danny. They're trusting him with that Nano. He found the opening pick. Can he find the rest of the team? But the rally from either side, Sustain isn't going anywhere as the defense look to trade in picks in and out. And it's just back and forth here. We're seeing the Nano being applied. It's on the break. Vix has found so many kills in this fight, Gio. Who thought the break would be getting this much value? It's 4 in this fight for Vix on the break, carrying their team to victory with a shield and a flail to boot, as O3 Splash turn things around and bring our series to 2-1.
Bob the Builder themselves couldn't fix as much as Vix is doing right now, because that last fight, I believe it was 4 by the end. Yep. Coming out, and of course you got the rally, the mini stun, starting to make Brig look like release Brig with the way that they've been playing it. I mean, the support lineup of
sure, so gotta watch out for it.
You could also make the argument that the narrow sightlines nullifies being able to go on a flank as Hanzo, and while we've not seen it be more of like a kind of an outflanking kind of style of play rather than finding those picks, is something worth to know. And you have to imagine now, this is likely Ramatra territory for Citrus, and it's likely Junker Queen territory for Splash. Just how are they going to flavor it on both sides? Currently, neither of them have went for what I was saying, but I mean, I don't want to cast their bait myself.
Though I'd say you're kind of in the right vein, because O3 Splash, whilst they're not playing the Junk Queen, like the Zari is quite a, like it's like a fat DPS, right? Similar to Junk Queen.
Yeah, you don't want to be charging those bubbles unnecessarily, but also you can just pop those bubbles and take them out. Now, they are actually keeping this Reinhardt. It warms my heart to see Reinhardt, but I think, well, Zeb will struggle with the Reaper of Echo. Cowman needs to be careful that that wall doesn't split them up from the rest of their team from Ultima Web. That was how they really won those brawls out on Lijiang. Can Citrus do it again here on Califio?
You will have to see, Gio, we will have to see, as the aggression already coming through, that amp speed being used, having to be forced to use that immortality field early. Z-Man falls. Echo on that Reaper is doing so much pressure already. Karch coming through in a last-ditch attempt in this fight to try and get a pick, but it looks like already with that Baptiste and that Ryan down the core of that brawl, O3, Citrus are forced to reset.
Yep, and this in a similar vein to Zarya, the higher that beam goes, sorry, in a similar vein to Symmetra, the higher Zarya beam goes, sorry, I got a little confused, the more deadly they are, but look at this quick recontest.
It's actually off the back of Danny and Ultima Web, who found both very early picks onto, I believe, the DPS on the side of O3 Splash. I think it was Fix and Echo that fall very early there, and Citrus, they now able to finally swing things in the way.
Yeah, they're saying, nah, Splash, this isn't going to be a one-sided push if we're bringing it back, and they are going to get the lead there very momentarily, at least. They do have to watch out for the window coming up from neutral. They will have this dragon to split things up, but it's going to be a little difficult to find good placement.
Yeah. Gonna force off the side of Splash of that bot, and a beautiful opening pick there from Danny. Echo ain't the only one who can wield that bow and arrow, finding 2 there, and the DPS on the side of Citrus. Joe, we've been talking too much about Echo and Lukewarm. Danny and Ultima Web are definitely mad at us about that as they continue to push a spot and sustain their lead.
Oh, Danny, boy, what a nice, clean beginning to that fight. And you've taken your team to position of possibly unlocking the forward spawn. And you have the Blizzard to even use to try and secure it now.
Really big dragon, though, comes through and manages to catch the sight of Citrus very much off guard. And, yeah, I mean, that positioning definitely is very vulnerable. It's easy to collapse on people underneath that bridge. So, Citrus having to reset here, but the ult back is...
Yeah, lukewarm now on the Hanzo showing us that there's more than 2 Hanzos in this series to be scared of. And, yeah, so far, been Hanzo's winning it out. Citrus, they do have the Shatter, which will be pretty much free. Apart from that, Suzu. You need to watch the Suzu for neutral to get good value out of this upcoming Shatter.
Yeah, Cowman fell extremely low there. But terrifying. Mabel splits off of the team there. Beat and Blizzard used. They want to match the beat that's been used by O3 Splash to sustain them through that Blizzard. Just holding on to the Shatter. They lay it down. It finds 3. Suzu was used during that Blizzard, I believe, and they definitely took advantage of that, swinging things back in their way here.
Well, whether it was used or not, I believe the Shatter actually hit that Greco there. So now they're in a position again to take this forward spawn, and if they can, that will really put pressure on Splash to get things back in order. They have the window here from their backline to create lots of damage.
That's a great Dragon trying to punish the contest there from O3 Splash. The blade coming through from Echo. He's found one, but gets nullified pretty much instantaneously. Great damage coming through from Danny, and Mikan finishing that off. Still contest coming from Splash, but I believe our butt scratch is here.
Yeah, using a Dragon to try and send them squirming away, and they'll happily do so, because they got that forward spawn. They can now play to their own pace. They're not really rushing, and yeah, that neutral blade ain't going to get too much. It's a bit of a naked blade because you don't have, you know, the nano to boost it, and you didn't have the rush. You do now have the rush, and Mikan does not have the beat. So you want to be kiting away from this rush as much as possible as neutral looks to use it in a messy fight.
Look how quick that engages with the shift from the Junk Queen and the speed. And a huge... Was that a 3-man anti-nade there? From the Rampage from Cowman. Really opening up that fight nicely. Yeah, great stuff there from Cowman. Finally being able to find some momentum on the Junk Queen.
I mean, messy as they did it, things are going to open up now for Citrus to retake before this forward spawn unlocks for Splash. As, again, Splash are still up against it. They do need to back up, and ultimately, that was the smart decision. They will have another fight at mid. But Danny!
Oh my god.
Leave the
backline alone. Come on. Gets the opening pick again. No, I think Acorn, this Genji, really is a bit of a bottleneck here from O3 Splash, Gio, because just doesn't really find anything in this composition.
A lot because of that Immortality Field. Yeah, you know, Strike comes in, but then the Immortality Field's up. Dragon's prepared for Danny, so is Blizzard for Ultimate Web. They can really get this forward spawn again if they want.
Yeah, Fix has the beat, so they got to be careful of that. Did a great job of really negating the Blizzard there from Ultimate Web when it previously came around. Zeb falling. They're going to use the Blizzard. They think this fight is salvageable. Suzu used to try and get Lukewarm out of there, but Danny has the follow-up.
I mean, Danny's making it salvageable. Yeah, look at that. I mean, not quite. Obviously, this is going to go for Splash, but those picks are going to mean that there's only so far the Splash can push it before needing to back up and rally up with the rest of their members. They are coming up to Rampage, but right now, it's more of that blade and beat you're looking for. You could use both together to kind of allow Echo to go a little deeper with said blade, but Mikan's ready with their own beat, so Echo has a hard task ahead of them.
Yeah. Blade comes through, the beat has been cast, Echo has a beat of their own to sustain them up actually, so might be able to find some picks, has found Danny, which definitely alleviates some pressure, but is traded their life for it. Shatter comes down, finds Cowman, it's trades back and forth, Z-Man gone, no sustain. There's only the Lucio to keep you up, and that health bar is dwindling, your shield cracking. Gotta be careful, and Fix will catch you out there, as it looks like O3 Splash, off the back of Fix, managed to get that forward spawn.
Chances are they will get this forward spawn unlocked, and not too far after that, that's going to be them getting the lead. Danny is there on that kind of awkward spot where he can contest. Brilliant Dragon from Lukewarm.
Yeah, forced Danny to actually have to jump over into a terrible position for them. Contest is coming through, though. So Citrus are now back because E-Man has the window if they want to use it. Don't manage to quite get that lead. Rampage comes through. Got to be careful of the edge of that map, but the anti-nade definitely is what you want. Enabling the side of OW2 Splash for Citrus to heal as they manage to get the forward spawn.
Yeah, a beautiful Rampage went right into the back, forced through so you're ending where your team was. An amazing placement, and we're really seeing why Splash like to prefer this Junker Queen. It is now in their favor. Zeb has went to Zarya now as they're on the back foot.
White Dragon.
Yeah,
the combination. Right. Oh, no way! Even with the boop resistance their tanks now have in Overwatch 2, Mikan gets the boop kill onto Galman. Yeah, the placement of the Maywall in the combination with that Dragon there, Gio, just really managed to pressure out OW2 Splash very well.
Yep. It's a very close affair, but there's 90 seconds to go. This upcoming fight could very well decide the fate of this entire matchup, and it's starting well for Citrus, especially since they still have that Blizzard if they want.
It's all on the line for them if they don't want to go down into that low bracket, if they want to have their first class ticket into those grand finals. It's all on the line for them here, and they have the ult bank to service them here in this fight. But opening picks come out from the DPS on the side of OW2 Splash. They have to be forced to use that Blizzard. Fix is there with the beat. Can they find the momentum? Booped off is Fix. It's all on the line here, but OW2 Splash just found early picks off the back of their DPS, and it might be over.
Oh my god. It's a matter of pixels, not even pixels, of atoms before they would get that lead. And unfortunately for them, they haven't. OW2 Splash holding in. They're going to have both Shimada brothers here, bringing out both their dragons. 30 seconds to go. A lot of pressure on Mikan for beating both of these Shimada ults. Can they get their...
Danny?
Ooh. Danny
out means there's no speed. Cowman's gonna be struggling, but here comes the dragons roaring into the back. But the beat from Mikan, perfectly timed. Aiko can't get that value. Lukewarm has been eliminated, so that spam is no longer there. They're so close to getting that lead, Joe. And if they can get stagger picks, OW2 Splash will struggle to go into the next fight.
And it's overtime now, so you're gonna have those overtime respawns.
Mikan falls. That's a huge pick. The window's been cast down. They managed to get the... Did they manage to get the lead there? The rush comes through.
The ball was stolen.
Ball was stolen. Oh my god. Gio, no. It might be over here. And off the back of a stolen bot, OW2 Splash look to take the series. Wow. I don't believe it. It looks so good there for Citrus. It looks so good for them there.
It did, but off the back of that bot being stolen a bit far back, you saw their positioning kind of unfold because they had to push forward into their own grav, and, well, you're running into a Junker Queen. Your husband Danny almost completely saved the entire fight there. Danny was looking great.